about your connection to Marvel Comics and She-Hulk?
I feel so I grew up reading the Incredible Hulk comics. Like, my brother and I were obsessed with them. And then I really started to dive into She-Hulk over the past couple of years. And I'm so drawn to who she is as Jennifer Walters, and then sort of how, her personality is the same when she's She-Hulk, but she also has this air of confidence to her. And she's so witty and self-deprecating. And she also struggles in ways that I struggle myself. And so I just feel like very truthfully connected to She-Hulk and Jennifer Walters. So the opportunity to get to get to be a small part of putting her on screen was such an honor. It's like a pinch yourself type moment.
How did you feel about She-Hulk joining the ranks of female superheroes in the MCU?
And I think a lot of people have been waiting for She-Hulk to join the ranks of the rest of the MCU. She's been there for so long. And so I think it's really fun to see, and specifically to see Tatiana step into her shoes and to see how she's created this character based off of what Jessica Gao and the writers have put together. It's so exciting. She's such a welcome, fresh energy. And I'm so excited that she's kind of a part of the visual film and TV canon.
Marvel Studios is known for playing around in different genres. What genre is She-Hulk, and what can audiences expect from each episode in the series?
I mean, what's fun about She-Hulk is it's like a half-hour legal comedy, right? It's a straight up funny show, but then we also use this humor to dive into deeper emotional, deeper complex ideas of identity and what it means to have a new identity thrust on you, and how do you embrace that when you didn't ask for that? How do you deal the fact that you just wanted to be a lawyer, and that's hard enough to do that, to be a working woman in a male-dominated space. And then on top of that, now you're sort of this Hulk, superpowered Hulk. Are you afraid that you're a diversity hire? That's such an interesting kind of space to play in.
Describe the three co-workers/friends, Jennifer, Pug, and Nikki, and their relationship. And then, if you can, as you do that, talk about the characters who portrayed the people who portrayed these characters and their on-set dynamics, which kind of goes along with their play.
I think a lot of fun in the series comes from watching Jennifer, Nikki, and Pug all messing around with each other. They're such a fun threesome. And I think it really mimics a lot of other work dynamics where you kind of have your work husband, your work wife, your little kind of posse of best friends that you get through the workday with, that you share all of your stories. They understand all of the dynamics with the bosses. And so those scenes are so fun with the three of them. In episode 5, we get to see Nikki and Pug go on their little caper, and that's always just very fun. And then, the actors playing them, Ginger Gonzaga, who plays Nikki, Josh Segarra, who plays Pug, they're so delightful. They're such their energies are so, they're very playful. And then when you put the three of them together, just as people, they're very playful people. So that comes out in those characters. And so it was such a delight because the three of them really added so much to what was already on the page. It was really fun to play around.
Okay, this is where we touch on 6 and 7. There's a wedding episode. Who's getting married? Is She-Hulk a bridesmaid? How do we see Jen/She-Hulk evolving as Jen gets comfortable with her Hulk? And what makes this episode so fun?
Episode 6 is a fun one because there's this sort of turning point that's happening where Jen is starting to embrace being She-Hulk and kind of really enjoying it. We've seen her start to go on dates and really want the name She-Hulk, which before she was rejecting. And now she's like, well, I'm excited to go to this wedding because I get to be She-Hulk. It's so fun to watch her have fun as this character. And then, you know what? Jen's got to go back to the wedding of a childhood friend who she really hasn't kept up with. And is maybe not really friends with anymore. And this childhood friend is played by one of my favorite comedic actors, Patti Harrison, who just steps into the role of Lulu and really like shades her as that very specific friend that you're like, ooh, she can say stuff to me I wouldn't let any of my new friends say to me now. And so we really play around with the dynamics of like returning to sort of the duties that you have with old friends that you don't feel the same about. And it's just like a fun wedding episode, like, you know, going home for a Thursday wedding. And yeah, I feel like it's a very fun little bottle episode.
Who is Mr. Immortal and what makes him superhuman?
I love Mr. Immortal. He's played by Damon Pasquesi, who I'm such a fan. I'm a fan of his. You know, God, I loved this script because the writers brought Mr. Immortal back, but they do it in such a fun way where it's like, okay, if you could be immortal, how would you use it in the worst way possible? And it's anytime you're in a conflict in your marriage, you just die and then you can start fresh instead of dealing with any conflict resolution. And that's such a funny, relatable thing of like, oh yeah, this is the worst type of guy. He can't communicate at all and he just kills himself, but he doesn't actually die, which is a note in that he makes people, he makes sure people know. But it's so funny, like the way that you sort of take that concept of being Mr. Immortal and how do you play with that and make it kind of shitty and despicable. It's very fun. And the actor had such a good time playing him. So that was just like a joy. It was like such a hoot seeing Mallory and Nikki and Mr. Immortal together on their own little caper.
How was Emil Blonsky? How has he changed his life? And tell us about the wellness retreat.
Mm-hmm. And so we really get into the wellness retreat in episode 7,
which is one of my favorite episodes. I think there's this question like, is Blonsky, has he been rehabilitated? Does he really mean what he's saying when he says like he's kind of a new man, or is this another con? And we play around with that. Like, can a person really change or can they not? And but Jennifer's also trying to be a good lawyer and she's trying to be there for her client. But then also she also needs a little bit of R&R and she hasn't really had an opportunity to sit with her feelings. And in this episode, we really get to see like her deepest interior amongst a real kooky, funny cast of new faces.